I Ain't Gonna Cheat on You No More by Kennedy Brown. Flashback Summer 2006. I am so excited about my upcoming graduation, not because I am looking forward to the post-grad shenanigans that my classmates were forever gabbing about. Mind you, I said classmates, not friends, but classmates. If you have yet to guess, I am pretty much a loner, with only 3 people I consider acquaintances: Kim Barnes, Jennifer Murray, and Keela Gregory, whom I have known since preschool. And although they have never given me any reason to suspect they were only pitying me, I felt very self-conscious whenever the 4 of us hung out. Kim was light-skinned, shoulder-length hair, and had the statuesque figure of a young Dorothy Dandridge. Jennifer was tall, and had skin the color of a taffy apple, with long brownish-red hair that came to the middle of her back. Keela was a copper-complected version of actress Christina Milian. However, I was plain old Lostasia Matisse Murphy. I was thick, just not in the right places. I was also, maybe, the most flat-chested girl in Greer SC at 2 weeks away from graduating, still wearing an A-cup bra. A cup is not a step above a training bra. No, they are both one and the horrible same. My skin color was the of ripe bananas, and my hair, although long, it was bushy and unruly. I am what my great-grandma dubbed as yellow-waisted, meaning a light-skinned person without good hair. Kim, Jennifer, and Keela were quite popular and I wasn't, and it made me a bitter person inside, although I smiled on the surface and embraced their friendship. But as I said, a low self-esteem can really fuck with a bitch's head. Imagine going to the mall and the 3 of them getting approached by guys. Even if there were 4 guys, to us girls, even the 4th guy would sit and wait until his friends collected the numbers they had begged for. And after exchanges were made, we all went our merry way as a group, but all day long, all I could contribute to the conversation was a listening ear and a fake-ass impression of being interested in Kim gushing over this guy whom she had known all of 10 minutes, as if she is ready to shop for China patterns instead of the extras we shopping for in preparation for the prom. Yeah, I was going, but had I known then what I know now, I would have foregone that also. But unfortunately, you can't turn back the hands of time. But my girls would not give up until I consented to let Keela's date, Darian Grayson, hook me up with his cousin, a guy from Welford, named John Booker, whom I had met briefly, yet no words were exchanged. But I did remember that he had just won a football scholarship to University of South Carolina and would be going into his sophomore year in college. Keela gave me his phone number, but he wound up calling me. Before I even had a chance to reach out to him, he asked to go out to the movies with Darian and Keela. I agreed, though nervous as hell. We had a great time. In fact, John and I became very close over the weeks leading up to the prom, and I was for the first time able to share stories with my girls about guys. I was even excited about picking out and matching everything to the T, right down to letting my parents convince me to have a full makeover for my special night, and with the newfound look, I began to feel more confident, but I noticed that neither Kim, Jen, or Keela wanted me to get my hopes up too high when it came to John Booker, because he was rumored to be still pining for a chick he had been pursuing for some time, and they didn't want me to be a rebound, but rebound would be too much of an understatement. To make a long story short, John and I sat at the table at Teamsters Hall, both matching each other to the last thread. I had on a teal, silk, Gloria Swanson-like gown with matching gloves to coordinate with the dark blue tuxedo John was wearing. I sat beside this handsome guy, who had just boosted my ego just by being with him. He was quite the gentleman, and although I know it was a hookup, I began to feel as if he could be my first boyfriend. However, it was just a ruse. I excused myself to go to the ladies' room, leaving John with Kim, Jen, Keela, and their dates. As I was about to walk towards the restroom, I heard Kim talking to John about Keela owing him, not her, but I kept walking thinking it was some inside joke between them, and just brushed it off. However, when I emerged from the bathroom, I then saw John talking with Keela. "Fuck you mean? I did you a solid." John tried to keep his voice down. "A solid? How in the hell are you doing me a solid? This shit cost me $250. That is called getting paid, and you have so but bye." John clenched his teeth and said, "See, y'all chicks ain't shit these days. We had a deal." Hearing this sent my ears into overdrive, but not ready for what was next. Although I strutted into the restroom earlier, as if my whole night was lovely, I even felt lovely for all of 60 seconds. You told me if I take your girl out and made her feel pretty and the perfect evening to remember, because you pitied her and would hook me up with Jen fine ass. Whatever, Jen don't want you, and even if she did, she wouldn't dare date you now. Keela answered. Get the facts straight. Why you think she won't? Because I know that fool she with, Rodney ain't gonna do shit but dog her out, and I'm just playing my position like a shortstop. He laughed, sounding cocky as hell. Because we don't date our friends' exes. Keela spat. I didn't date her friend. I went out with her as a favor. And that is all. Come on. You know I ain't feeling Lostasia like that. She cool and all, but she is just basic. Not ugly enough to diss, but not pretty enough to want to claim that #1 spot. Keela looked as if she had just been slapped in her face. Oh, so, me fucking you on the low, so your cousin don't find out, and promising to hook you up with Jen, just so you can give Stacy a memorable end to her senior year. And you still want Jen? Fuck you, John. John just shook his head and walked away. I waited until Keela pulled herself together and rejoined Darian. I, however, left the restroom area, walked out of my senior prom, to the nearest phone, called a cab, went home without even alerting any of them. I went home, left my parents a note, and left town. I already had enough credits to get my diploma, which my parents picked up and had delivered to me at my grandparents' house. I never told my parents why I wanted to live with my grandparents, nor did I return any of the calls. Kim, Jen, and Keela left for me. I was hurt by them. I knew they were not threatened by me in any way, shape, or form, but fuck that sympathy friendship. It took them a while, but they finally realized I was not interested in communicating with them. But today I got an invitation to my 10-year high school reunion, which my mom mailed to me at my grandparents' house, along with an attachment from Kim Barnes Kavanaugh, my old friend, or should I say former friend. Dear Stacy, I hope this will find you in good health, a great spirit. It has been a long time, but I truly miss you, Stacy. So do Jen and Keela. We were so shocked when you just up and left, even before we could walk across the stage to get our diplomas. And without so much of a goodbye, John was sick with worry. I feel responsible. I never should have tried to get you to go to the prom, but you always seemed so withdrawn and well. Only wanted you to enjoy your youth. But Jen, Keela, and I miss you, and would very much like to see you at the reunion, to catch up on lost time. I am married to Ricky Kavanaugh, the same guy I attended the prom. We have 2 children, twins actually. Jen is also married to Stavros Duncan. For kids, well, if you count the 2 he has had with his side chick, 6. Keela and Darian dated a year until she got pregnant and tried to pass it off as Darian's, until he had a DNA test and it turns out that John Booker, who began dating Jen after you, dumped his ass, but trying to pretend to do the decent thing. He and Keela got married, if that is what you call it. Although Jen was hurt, she and Keela worked things out, and they should have, because you don't let a man come between you and your girl for life. But between you and me, that shit is straight foul. I mean, after all, Keela was grimy as fuck being with John in the first place, knowing he was with Jen, but that is their business. Just hope to see you. In fact, would love it if you stayed with Ricky and I that weekend. I can honestly say I would love to have Jen, Keela, and you could stay for the weekend, but they actually still live close, and even if they did, those hoes can't be up in my house around my husband, strutting around showing all their mamas gave them. Nah, but you are different. You cause no worry, and this is why I miss your friendship and your laughter. RSVP. Kimberly Denise Barnes Kavanaugh. I was stunned that this bitch just threw me a hell of a lot of shade, and either thought I was too simple Simon-esque to realize, but this Stacy, no longer that basic chick John didn't think was pretty enough to be on his arm. No, I was now the size of Mimi Faust of Love and hip-hop ATL, and thanks to my late boyfriend Terrence, who after 2 years of dating proposed to me, only to be killed at Club Fairmont, a sports bar in Spartanburg, SC, I was his sole beneficiary. And with his death being an unsolved homicide, I was now very comfortable financially, and my first purchase were these bouncy and behaving 44DD breast porcelain veneers. A bit of smart liposuction. I was no longer the fat, basic flat-chested girl I was during their fake-ass pity friendship days. I was gonna go to the reunion, maybe even stay at Kim's just as she invited me to, after all my parents had since moved Traveler's Rest. So it would be Kim's home I would stay for the weekend, and let her, Jen, and Keela decide if my basic ass was no threat, but they only knew the half of it.